I want to first of all thank the neighborhood for how well you organized. You guys really figured something out and organized quite well. So thank you for your engagement. And I hope that this process has been educational to you and how your city government works. Not a lot of people get that sort of experience. Some people don't want it. But thank you for going through that process. And if you have any tips for how we can handle these types of decisions in the future and how we can engage neighbors and residents better, I certainly would be open to hearing that. My comment is a little bit broader than the project, and that is that we as a city are going to have to figure out density in our city. Density has to do with a lot of issues that I'm sure a lot of people in this room care about. There's been a lot of talk about housing affordability. Housing is largely a supply and demand function. So if you have more supply, you're going to have more affordable housing. Density has to do with transportation efficiency. You start getting to be able to not have a car when you have density. And I know there was conversation about how many people drove here. Well, the reason everybody drove here is because there's no transit that comes to the convention center because there's no density around here. No residential. Density has to do with sustainability. If people care about the future of our planet, we can't keep building single family homes out near Miami County. So density has to do with a lot of things that I think people in this room care about, and we're going to have to figure out what is acceptable to our community, our residents. And so I hope that you all, after you have gone through this process on this specific item, will also help us up here at the dais understand how we can get to a future in our city that is sustainable and that's going to require more density throughout our city, whether it's 95th and Mission, whether it's 75th and Metcalf, whether it's 167th Street in Antioch. It's going to require density throughout the city. And I don't want density to only be in our poor neighborhoods, in our at-risk neighborhoods, okay? Because this is a racial justice issue, this is a social justice issue as well. We need equity in our community. So just because it's not acceptable in a higher income neighborhood doesn't mean that that same project should be acceptable in a lower income neighborhood. So, I obviously have a lot of passion on this subject because I see where we've been as a relatively sleepy suburb, and I see where we need to go as a community to maintain the quality of life that we've kept. And so I want to make sure that we stay on that track. And the answer, if we want to stay on a sustainable and quality of life track, is not going to be to keep saying no to opportunities when they come before us. So I am going to be opposing the motion in that spirit of that broad vision for the community I think in the future that we need to have as a community. I sure wish that we could have been able to figure out this project. I hope there's a good future for this intersection and this corner of our city. And we're going to be counting on all of you that showed up to this meeting and engaged in this process in making sure that we have a bright future as a city. The answer cannot continue to be no. We got to figure out how we get to yes on some of these things. So with that, I will close my comments, and I thank everybody for being here till 11:30.
Mayor, do you see my hand up?
Yes, Mr. Kite.
Okay, since I'm the only one remote, I didn't know if you could see that I'd use that. I'll be opposing the motion. I do believe the neighborhood has made a good faith effort and presented themselves well. I do think that maybe they backed away from the negotiations. I don't like the 12 of us to have to sit here and go through he said, she said in terms of distances. Our staff has seen all the distances. They know the golden criteria. So does the Planning Commission. And based on our professional staff, I think that it may, that they've already vetted that out. Any comparison to this and other projects such as Brook Ridge are unfounded. I mean, that is multiples sizes larger than this. That is really something that's traffic affecting. That's a different scale completely. But I do think that the neighbors want to see something better. I do think that, quite frankly, if it was me, I'd rather have something like this than the backside of tired old duplexes that were built back in the 60s. And so something's going to have to happen here. And to quote our dearly departed friend, Terry Goodman, be careful what we wish for. The next project that comes into that space may not be as nice as this. But if I will be opposing, but if it does pass and this is denied, I hope and pray that the parties can come together and find something that'll work there, and it'll be in a spirit of cooperation and not what we've seen here. And that is that let's just say we're going to dismiss it out of hand. And that means one party in this negotiation doesn't have to really do anything but sit back and let it fail. And that's no way to come to a solution, much in the manner that my friend Logan just mentioned. So thank you for letting me weigh in from afar, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kite. Mr. Newland.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One thing I really like about being quasi-judicial on this is I really come to these meetings wanting to listen to everyone and never make a rash decision, because hearing arguments is what we need to do to make the proper decision when it comes to these zoning issues. I'm going to support the motion to deny. I'm not going to rehash what Councilman Thompson said, what Councilman Spears said, and Graham said. That was really great. But I do caution everyone to get the quality of life that we have. We have the best roads. We have the safest neighborhoods. We have the greatest schools. And how do we pay for that stuff? We pay that through our taxes. And we have the lowest tax level of any first-class city in Johnson County, and it's not a little bit. There's a lot. There's a big gap between us and the next city. Now, I don't want to see that number go up. I don't want to raise taxes on anyone, and one way we do that is by putting in development. This might not be the right thing for this time, but as Councilman Heley said, north of 435, and I said this on the 19th of October, we have to go up because you can't go out. You can go out a little bit down in Ward 6 because we've got a little more open land, and we can go out with single family homes. But the one thing that's great about our city and what provides a great quality of life is that the planners of this city have done a great job. And if you go around this city and you really look hard, you'll be sitting back going, damn, they're doing the right thing. And I think that's the testimony of the great things that former council members have done, such as Terry Goodman, the mayor have done, and just done a great job to bring people from all over this country, all over this world to Overland Park. You need to think about that when you're trying to do this. And I do agree with Councilman Graham where that compromise thing really disappointed me tonight, because I don't think everyone came ready to deal. And as a sales guy, I always come ready to deal. So I want to caution that as we do that. The only way we're going to get affordable housing, which I know it is you're going to have to build up, and you're going to have to build dense, just like Councilman Heley said. It's got to be that way, because the more housing stock you have, it drives the price down a little bit, which helps you provide an affordable housing, attainable housing atmosphere. So I will be quiet. Thank you, Mayor. I will be voting to support this motion based on the criteria that the other council members have mentioned.
Holly.
Thanks, Mayor. A lot of my comments have been echoed with Councilmember Graham talking about Forward OP and affordable housing choices, and what Councilmember Heley says, that we are going to be moving. We're going to be moving to density, and density is going to need your help. It's going to need your help in saying yes and making good choices and working together as we try and figure out how we house people who want to come to Overland Park, because people want to come here, and we need to decide what that looks like. So we need your help. And what Councilmember Newland says, that businesses are carrying the brunt of our taxes. So we need to help them and make these projects work. And we have more choices. We're talking about choices for housing. So you have to come and help us make choices so we can have affordability, so we can have lots of diversity and lots of fun things here. So we need you. We need your help. I'm going to support the deny of this, but know that we voted on something tonight that was denied by this council before, and we voted on it tonight, and it was the same thing. So be careful. Be careful what you wish for. You got to help us out. So thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Kerrigan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have a whole lot to add. I will support the motion that's on the table or on the floor for many of the reasons that several of my colleagues have said. The only thing I would add is, this has been alluded to, and actually Councilman Skoog said this at a prior meeting, that maybe it is time for a comprehensive plan that includes the input of our residents, that can tie Forward OP, Vision Metcalf, the comprehensive plan, all of these plans that we have, because I concur, especially someone who lives inside of 435, that there isn't much room to go out. So I hope this is a good maybe catalyst to kick off that type of discussion in a broad, publicly engaged way. Because if we don't get better at this or come to some consensus, and that's not everybody getting 100%, but some consensus, I think we're better off by going through that process for these projects in the future. So thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Tom. Mr. Lyons.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just, I made some comments a little earlier, but didn't allude to how I'm going to vote on this. And I thought I should, at least since everyone else has voiced their how they're going to vote, I should do the same. So I'm going to support the motion to deny, primarily because it looks like we're at the end of the road. There doesn't look like there's any solution here that we can come to. I'm a little disappointed with that. There are a lot of elements of this project that I like. I was really hoping that there was a way that there would be some compromise that could be worked out between the developer and the neighborhood. And like I said before, sometimes it just doesn't happen. I really hope that they come back with a viable project that you all can accept. I'm worried about the long-term viability of that intersection there with those duplexes back there in the back of the Ranch Mart, in not particularly good shape. It's there's not much there. So long-term, it doesn't look good as far as that's concerned. And I'm hoping that some kind of solution can be brought forth that the neighborhood can support, and that will ensure the long-term viability of that neighborhood as well as that entire area around 95th and Mission. But I will support the motion.
Thank you. We have a motion to deny rezoning 2020-5. Clerk, call the roll.
Spears.
All right.
Just again, if we are visioning towards the future, I just want to put it on record that I believe social equity means listening to the voice of people. That's a big part of it. I also would very much humbly request that we stop insulting Overland Park by calling it a sleepy neighborhood and terms like that. I just don't think it's fair. This is a comfortable neighborhood. This is a neighborhood which is promised to be above and beyond. And I don't know what those terms mean. What is a sleepy neighborhood? Let's move beyond that. Let's look at the future. I also want to say that we can follow the master plan of this city and allow apartments to be built wherever they are due to be built. All of these apartment projects that we have done in this city right now so far, none of them is affordable. And the last thing I want to say is that this is a 60 years old city. There was a time that the name of the game was build, 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 build. And I respect that solution for that time. We are suffering from congestion. We are suffering from traffic. We are suffering from all the diseases that a middle-aged city is going to have. Congestion is not the way to go. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Spears,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Lyons,
Yes.
Kite,
No, this is Jim Kite.
Newland,
Yes.
Kerrigan, Barasati,
Yes.
Graham,
Yes.
Hamlin,
Yes.
Healy, Grumert,
Yes.
I have 9 in favor of the motion to deny and 2 against. That motion passes.